Oh, Brett. You're gonna have to probably have different intro songs, because if you have this, if this is gonna be the theme, then this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get the lyrics to this, and I'm gonna start singing along with it on the introduction. Yeah. And that will, if that doesn't scare everyone away, it will scare a large enough percentage away that you'll have tough decisions to make. We got to get rid of Ben.
It's true.
He was day job, side job.
I love that picture right there.
That makes me thirsty. There's my dog, always wanting to play, bringing me stuff in his mouth. Then he teases me. You know, he sticks it out. Then he won't give it to me. He's the worst. He's the worst playmate in the world. The worst.
Well, guys, if you thought you were looking for the Predictive Playbook show here Friday at Manny's Irish Pub, you're at the right spot. So we have Tony Finn, Rob Veno, my regular co-host, my regular partners in crime is, I think, a better way to refer to you guys. I had one play last night. It was those Raging Cajuns. And, I have a rental car because I had my Jeep destroyed in the Hurricane Ida and the little tornado action. And I took Louisiana Lafayette because I have a Colorado Chevy pickup truck that has Louisiana tags on it. So I thought it was like a message from above that I should bet all Louisiana teams this whole entire weekend. So how do you like that for an analytic?
That is the epitome.
I'm 1-0. I'm 1-0.
It's a perfect example of throwing darts.
Get them all in. McNeese State,
whatever
Southeastern
works.
Louisiana.
Whatever works. I mean,
LSU.
Nichols.
LSU.
I have friends, and sometimes they'll be sitting
Monroe.
around. My friends will sit around the table, and they will
a lot of bets.
They will say something. My friends will say something at the table, and here's what I have to say to them. I say, listen, that's really interesting, but may I make a suggestion? Don't ever admit that. Don't ever say that out loud again, because people won't understand you like I understand you.
Well, that's a true friend that would say that.
True friend might be going a little too far, but true neighbor.
Could be a lot behind the reason we call you Effin' Tony.
One of many.
Show needs a suggestion box for Tony's suggestions.
Yes.
I think we should have another box that people looking for life lessons and psychiatric help, because we provide that as well.
I'm going to, every day when we depart the show, I've decided that I'm going to share my treasure chest of knowledge after, chronologically only 60 years, but I've lived about 10 lifetimes. So, bam!
There you go.
I have a little. I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be a Socrates. I can't be compared, But I think I'm a little more Asian. I am Asian. I'm more Asian, so I wouldn't have to be Socrates. I'd be like a
Confucius.
Confucius, yes. Confucius say. Confucian say. I don't know something. We'll come up with something.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Confucius.
It'll be.
All right, John.
They'll make a movie out of it. I'll let you guys know.
I'm looking for my.
This is
I
your
made
time,
a list
John.
made a list of key injuries.
Oh.
In the NFL, and that's what I was looking for right now.
There's a zillion of
but
those.
I'm sure you guys, and I was going to start the show off with what you guys thought were the biggest ones.
Do you have a war value on them?
Oh,
I could do it by that too. Yeah, but
Does
I was
football
just
calculate war?
No, but we do.
No,
we can do anything we want.
Yeah, you can calculate. Yeah, you can calculate something like it.
We'll call it something else.
Replacement value.
Yeah.
So it
doesn't have to be
but
necessarily wins.
like the
It doesn't
Raiders,
have to be- it
Josh
doesn't have to be-
Jacobs obviously is
Yeah,
a
it doesn't
big
have
one,
to be
right?
wins above replacement. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something else. It can be, how many shots does it take before you have the courage to play this team because of this injury? That's a long, but we'll come with something.
Okay, I'll ask you this question. We'll start with this then instead of
Who
the
did
injuries.
you mention, though, John? What was the name you just threw out there?
Josh Jacobs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Out
Yeah,
for the Steelers game.
That's what happens when you overpay. You can't overpay a running back. And let me tell you something. Mark Mayock, when he said, we're going to do things a little differently around here. Well, guess what, Mark? You don't pay running back. You don't pay a running back that has a 4-year lifespan, the equivalent of a 10-year offensive lineman. Let's go on. I won't go there.
Okay, so since 1990, there's been 3, count them, 1, 2, 3, of 258 teams to start 0-2 that went on to win the Super Bowl. One of those was the 2001 Tom Brady-led Drew Bledsoe on the bench Patriots, the 2007 Giants, which was quite a season, and the 1993 Cowboys. Which of the 0-1 teams that are the matchups that are 0-1 teams, which one has to win to even have a chance then to go into the playoffs?
I would say no. I wouldn't go that far. I hate to see somebody or some entity, some personality, some power, whoever it may be, say that if you're 0-2, your odds of winning the Super Bowl are done. It became greater. It became more probable this year than it's ever been. We have 18 weeks now, not 17.
So does that make it easier for an 0-2
Absolutely.
team to
Well,
come
the more
back?
games you have, if we had 162 games, you'd be saying like, well, what Major League Baseball team that's 0-2 has no chance maybe has a chance to win the World Series, right? I know that we don't have 162 games, but the more games you have, the more second chances, if you want to call it that, and third chances you have. So,
Are the Giants in trouble? I think
the Giants
they
were
are.
in trouble before they even reported camp.
Did the referees impact that game last night?
All referees always impact games. Always.
That was horrible again last night.
And whether it's who would impact that's part of what football. That's the one thing about baseball. I don't know who else. I've never met anyone, discussed anyone. Never have I been in dialogue with anyone who weighs umpires as much as me. Why? They impact games, but they impact games to it's not exponential, but so much more than an NFL referee impacts games. Why? Because can an NFL referee impact it? They do, guys. They do. I think you'll agree with that. However, they have instant replays a little more expansive in NFL. And here's the question I have for you guys. Well, I'm going to let you finish, John. Then after we're done with this, I have one question that I want to ask you guys. What do you think happened? Why it didn't work? And why it doesn't exist anymore. But I want to hear what you have to say first. So let's go forward with the dialogue you started, please. Sorry.
It's all right. I'm thinking of the Buffalo Bills being the team that has the most desperation based on the 0-2 going down to play Miami, and that's not a layup anymore going to Miami. They're a very good team.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
And the
with
world
that.
is betting Buffalo.
Well, yeah, and that line's a little funky. Think about it, guys. Think about what kind of a favorite they were at home against the Pittsburgh team. Look, there's a lot of things there's a lot of evidence to say, this is a bit inflated, this line. In truth, I like them.
Buffalo's
I
won
like them.
5
Let me tell
straight.
you. I'll tell you why I like them really quickly to interrupt you again, and that is this, and that is Miami they've made some changes, but they're a poor matchup. They don't match up well against Buffalo at all. In fact, look at the two scores. Miami was a pretty good team. They jumped. Look at the two scores from last year and what they did to Miami in both cases. It wasn't even attractive to watch or look at because it was ugly. Miami was beat up ugly.
What do you think, Rob? Bills, Dolphins.
Well, first off, I would probably say stay in the same division, but to me, New England's sense of urgency is worse than Buffalo's because New England plays a second AFC East game. When these tiebreakers come down, it always comes down to divisional record against one another. New England's already 0-1 inside that division. They lost. Buffalo lost in non-division games, so they're still 0-0. But if New England were to go 0-2, I mean, I get that the assumption is they're going to win this game, but you're asking which team needs to win more than any team. And to me, you can't start the season with 2 divisional losses. Come week 17, you end up in a flat-footed tie and you lose because your division record is worse. So to me, they're the most desperate team. They have the most to lose, certainly. If the Jets pull that upset, it's far worse than if Buffalo goes down there and goes 0-2.
That's
far worse.
Right. I would agree with that. And the Jets are – listen, the Jets – I think the Jets will probably I firmly believe that, I'm one of those guys. One of my tips is when you reach week 14, 12, 13, 14, it's going to be a little different this year. We'll have to see how things play out. But teams either get better or they get worse. None of them stay the same at that point because every team has a different they have a different game plan moving forward at that point. They're trying to protect something, and whether it be a division lead or they're trying to engage themselves to position themselves better, or they've already waved the white flag. So and that's just one of those things. And what do you mean by, Tony? Everyone don't say the same. It means this. You don't say, well, I know who this team is, and they're going to be who they are. I don't take that approach at all. So what you're saying, Rob, is absolutely correct. I think the Jets are going to get better. I didn't really like Wilson when he was. I thought maybe I thought their level of competition maybe elevated him and made him look better than he could be, would be, should be. But I could be wrong. It's only been one game, but I certainly liked what I saw. Unfortunately, he doesn't have time to hit deep receivers. His offensive line is absolutely horrendous. They can't run the football, and their offensive line stinks. It's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long season for Wilson unless they really, simplify things. And I mean really simplify things where they do what they did for Roethlisberger last year, which is he held the ball 1.8 seconds on average before he passed it because they couldn't keep him upright. And he took such a beating. Look how much he deteriorated physically and not emotionally, but physically. He got so beaten up early in the season last year. They faded badly. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that they couldn't run the football and they couldn't go deep. They couldn't stretch the field, and teams were just cheating. They were bringing a safety up and saying, you guys stink. You suck. We dare you. We're going to put our quarterbacks on an island. We dare you to let Ben sit back there for more than 1.9 seconds and try to throw the football.
Don't you think, though, in that matchup, I'm going to turn it around on you a little bit. We have a few minutes to debate this a little bit. I think Tennessee's defense actually puts Russell in a better situation because he's so good at the short and intermediate routes. And he also still has pretty good wheels.
I'll let Rob answer this, but I have an answer to that. I'll give you my opinion on that, and I have a strong opinion on it. So, Rob, what do you think?
So what's the exact question that I'm answering here?
That Russell's going to have a tough day against Tennessee because of the pressure. And sorry about the background noise here. It's
That's all right.
I don't hear anything. I don't hear
the
anything else
cleaning lady.
going.
But anyway,
COVID. Got COVID.
Russell Wilson is going to have a rough day because of the Tennessee pressure, the defensive front. But I was starting to think that if they do bring pressure a lot, I think it plays to his assets because he has weapons that are short and medium length routes that he can get the ball out quick. And he's still very accurate, and he can still extend a play with his legs.
Well, I would say this based off of what we saw last week against Indianapolis, who probably has every bit the pass rush that Tennessee has. Although I will say this, I was one of those guys in the offseason who, when Tennessee signed Bud Dupree, I thought their pass rush was going to be a lot better. It didn't show up in game one. But last week, what showed up for Seattle, in my estimation, if we're talking about Russell Wilson and his ability to make plays against potential pressure from the Titans this week, I think what we saw was he took, and the entire offense took to Shane Waldron's offense really, really well. I mean, the way they dispersed the football around the lot last week was basically take what they give you style offense, which we haven't really seen out of Seattle a lot over the years. They're not a team where, 4 or 5 different receivers are active per game with catches. If it wasn't Tyler Lockett, it was Will Dissly. If it wasn't Will Dissly, it became DJ Metcalf in the second half. It wasn't DK Metcalf, it was the running back out of the backfield. And on top of that, you deal with Chris Carson. So Shane Waldron brought that L.A. Rams style of offense to Seattle. And I don't know, John, I guess to your point, that pressure is going to, because they'll have a call for everything now. They'll have a play for everything. So I don't think it's going to bug him. It's really a diverse offense. And if you just think of the Rams, and I know since you watch a lot of Eagles football, if I just take you back to the Rams-Eagles game of last year when the Rams quarterback was Jared Goff, similar in the fact that he's a dual threat, right? He can make plays with his leg. Russell Wilson, obviously, far better at doing those two things. But, boy, they chewed up a pressure defense of the Eagles with consistent slant patterns to tight ends, crossing patterns to wide receivers, rollout passes, which Russell Wilson is very good at. So I don't know that that's going to bother him. It would take a bad day from that offensive line, and even then Russell Wilson has overcome bad offensive lines throughout his career, right? Seattle's very rarely had a good one. So I would say no, I don't know. Unless that pressure comes right up the middle, which is where quarterbacks hate it the most, it's got to be right in your face. Because Wilson does get sacked a lot, let's face it. He hangs on to the ball quite a bit in past seasons. But I just think this offense and this coordinator and this playbook is different. He got the ball out quick last week. Play action worked. I don't think pressure is going to bother. Not from this particular team. This isn't the type of team that can apply that kind of pressure.
All right.
Let me throw my 2 cents. I'm going to throw my 2 cents on it.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now. Last week, I would say this, John, and that is, first off, Tennessee ranked, I think they ranked 28th or 29th last year in team sacks. Mm-hmm. I mean, they didn't average 1.5 sacks a game.
I think it was worse even, Tone, 31st or something.
Okay, there you go. And secondly, if you watch that Seattle game, I don't know that you did. I watched film of it 5 times because I'm trying to make a decision on some things for this week, and I did it without the commercials, without the huddles, all that kind of thing, and just watched. First off, I was really interested in Indianapolis's defense. Okay, and understand what Russell Wilson did. He did on the road, 3 time zones, and that's another thing. Pete Carroll solved that issue. And when he first came to Seattle, they couldn't win on the East Coast. I think they're 20-5. Their numbers are ridiculous now over the last few years, regardless of whether they play early or late on the East Coast. They win. And that should not even be an issue for anyone who's listening to this. And secondly, this Waldron's offense, as the Shane Waldron's offense that Robbie's talking about, this is kind of an extension of last year when Pete Carroll said, "Listen, I'm not going to be who I have been my whole career, and that's run first down, run on second down. If we have to, then we'll throw on third down." This guy, Pete Carroll's been a ground and pound guy his whole career. And last year, you saw in the first when Wilson was the MVP lock, right? Remember after 4 or 5 games, and he's got those numbers. He's the MVP. This is an extension. They're playing at tempo like they've never played ever, and it's one game. It's just one game. However, on the road to play at that tempo takes a lot of confidence and your ability to execute Waldron's offense. And the Colts were playing. They were cheating. They were bringing pressure because they could not get to Wilson, which is unusual. They couldn't get to him, so they were bringing. And what did he do? He had Lockett for a couple deep passes in the second half. The Colts backed off. They went to a cover 2. They kept too deep. And what did he do? He went to DK Metcalf and just picked them apart underneath. You better pick your spots against this offense. And I said something yesterday. I said, I think the Rams are the best. Listen, I'm a huge fan of Stafford. Huge. I said if you could get him, if Detroit would have got him 2 stops, just 2 stops in 60 minutes more than they did when he was there, that they would have been above 500 and competitive week in and week out, right? Well, watch out because somebody said this morning, I think Las Vegas Chris came and said he believes that division is the best division. Agreed. It's the best division in football. Secondly, he said anyone can win it. I kind of cringe because I don't know what it is. I don't like Shanahan. I like Shanahan as an offensive coordinator, but I think he's not who he was with Atlanta. Maybe we're seeing him adjust to his personnel. But long story short is this: no matter what the Colts did defensively last week, they couldn't stop Wilson. They could not stop this offense, and they were balanced. Carson was very productive, and this is a problem for everyone that's facing Seattle, because if they can run the football and they can protect, and then offensive line, which is pedestrian, I think everyone would agree, very pedestrian. They've never spent a lot of money on that line, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, and they haven't really. They've mixed and matched and duct taped it, so it worked a little bit, right? It hurt them late in the season. I think that's the concern. But long story short is that this team offensively is crazy good. Crazy good. And this is I think Indy's defense was overvalued last year, but I think they ranked in the top 5 in turning teams over, top 5 in a rush defense. Much of that had to do with the fact is that I think their pass defense sucked. Okay. But I think Indianapolis, if they lose, this is a bad division. Indianapolis they're bad. Tennessee is scary bad defensively, guys. They're horrible. They were horrible last year. They're worse this year. And Eddie George can't go anywhere but down. When you get as many carries and touches as he has had in the last 2-3 years, running backs cannot. Even as big guys. Did I say Eddie George? I hope I didn't say it. I keep wanting to call him. Yeah, I keep calling him Eddie George. I do it on purpose with Chris because he hates it. And but you can't give your running back, your bell cow, those kind of carries and touches in this age of NFL where defensive linemen and linebackers are the size of offensive linemen and have the speed of a wide receiver, because it just hurts thinking about it. How about you? But I don't buy that. I don't buy that, John. Not that I'm right, but I'm saying right now, I don't believe in Indianapolis. I certainly don't believe in their defense, and I certainly believe they're in a hell of a lot of trouble this Sunday.
Well, I mean, if Tennessee's going to lose right along with them,
that's right. They are.
You could be an 8-9 division winner over.
You're right. This is. I think you're right.
Houston
Rob.
and Jacksonville aren't going to pose much of a problem. To your point about Seattle, Tone, and I'm going to second that because it's the only future bet I made as far as somebody to win division, conference, or Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But I played Seattle because all the talk all summer long, all spring long, was San Francisco, Los Angeles, and there were those who buried Seattle in last place.
Yeah.
Seattle was sold very, very short, way under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
No regard for this offensive coordinator, no regard for the signing of Gabe Jackson to help fortify that offensive line.
Yeah.
No regard for their first draft pick, Dwayne Eskridge, who Russell
Yeah.
Wilson told all summer long, who would listen, that this kid's going to be special. They've just got him, Russell Wilson, with protection. And I still, when I made the bet, I have to always, it's a future bet, but I had to preface it by Chris Carson must stay healthy. Because
Yeah.
Chris Carson is as undervalued a running back in the NFL as anybody I can think of. He's just – you watch that game Sunday, and by the fourth quarter, Indianapolis was tired of number one being pounded on and number two tackling that guy. They don't want to tackle him anymore.
If they're healthy at running back, they're deep at running back as well.
Yeah, Rashad Penny's hurt, I guess, now, but he'll be back.
Yeah.
So, when they signed Jamal Adams, I said to myself, you know what, they're good enough. They're just good enough to be better than San Francisco, to be better than the Rams, and in the end, maybe they can pull off the entire conference. So I made that bet on a value standpoint. I guess I thought they were better.
Boy, their defensive line. I mean, did you see that? They just they listen. Carson Wentz didn't stand an effing chance.
No, and let's preface it. That offensive line is going through some injuries. They're usually one of the best in the game.
Always.
Quentin Nelson and all those guys, but still, I mean, that's a good football team, guys, that happens to be buried in a division where all the hype was for San Francisco's getting all their guys back, and the Rams have Matthew Stafford now, and that's all you would hear. And, guys like us in this business, you got to look beyond your nose, and all of a sudden you see Seattle down there. I don't like Arizona. Not basically because of the talent, but I don't like the coach. The coach, I'm watching that game Sunday, and they, it could be sour grapes on my part a little bit, but I don't think it is. They get penalized for stupid stuff more than anybody I've ever seen. Constantly penalized.
Were they unforced penalties?
A lot of times they are unforced with that team, and I was talking. Me and Cliff Kingsbury had a little back and forth where he did none of the talking, and I didn't use my best language during that game Sunday. But I mean, that guy stands there. He's a good offensive mind. They've got really good offensive talent, but penalties kill their drives more than you can shake a stick at, and penalties hurt their defense more. Chandler Jones did have 5 sacks Sunday. That guy off the edge was amazing against Tennessee.
You think? Listen,
they'll hurt themselves in the end.
I thought they played above their pay. I think they played about as good as they can play. I didn't have them. I had them regressing a little bit. I didn't think there's any place for what they did last year and some of the games. The time they beat Seattle on that, the crazy last Hail Mary crap. There was some wins for Arizona last year that made them appear better than – they still have some growing pains. I agree with you. They do. And they're going to make a lot of mistakes. That offense is conducive, and it just is. It's conducive to being scattered. The play calls in this day in the NFL, it takes an experienced quarterback to run a Kingsbury offense. It could because it's fairly complex as well. So, yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of it doesn't show up in the box score, but with them it's the mental part. That I just don't think they're ready for. I know penalties and penalty yardage do show up, but it's where they get penalized, Tone. First and 10 on the 18 going in, and here comes that hold back to the 28-yard line. Then you settle in for a 45-yard field goal.
I'm going to interrupt you, Rob. Do you guys, again, this is something Chris and I discussed, and Chris is adamant, passionate. He thinks that while they're not transparent about it, he firmly believes that if week one is the way it is in week 4, 5, or 6, that late in the season, that we're back. They're calling holding penalties again. Where last year they were, you have to call. One of the things is I hate that you can call a holding penalty on anything, but you have to call them. Sometimes you even have to have phantom ones because if you don't, there's times when these teams you'll let these offensive linemen get carried away, and then they're going to start believing they can get away with it, And for the most part. Yeah, I don't know how. I think if it's back, then what we're going to see is a little regression maybe in in points per game because it's a drive killer. That 10 yards typically comes on a play where it just seems to always come on a play that was a decent gainer, and then you're dead. You're drive killer. First and 20 or second and 20 is a difficult unless you're dynamic, unless you're the Chiefs or some of these offenses that have the ability to sit down. They have the receivers sit down in the zone and get 12 or 14 of it back on second, and then you're in a reasonable third down again, right?
Yeah, I think you're right about waiting until week 4. I mean, John's the database guy. I'm not, but I would think that first week penalties, especially holding, one might attribute it to only 3 preseason games where so many starters didn't even play, right? Offensive lines on average didn't really play in the preseason for many teams. So we don't know what goes to that. But you're right. If we're sitting here week 4, but I didn't count the pass interference or defensive holding penalties either,
that's my question, you guys. That was my question to you that I said before, and I want to apologize. I was supposed to. I just got pinged, and they're asking me where I am. 20 minutes ago, I was scheduled at 1:30 for a date with an affiliate out of Kansas City. So we'll be in the same area, and I'm going to shoot you a little message on this one saying there's a trader in Columbia today that I work with.
No. Do you have to get going?
I'm going to finish up by saying I'm going to pose a question. 2 years ago, or just 2 years ago, when the pass interference, the notorious pass interference, prevented what many people believe the Saints.
New Orleans. Yep. New Orleans.
And then, of course, after that, they said, "Okay, we're going to let you challenge pass interference calls." Right.
Yep.
Then the following season after that, there was some early season challenges, and they never won. Never won them. So you saw them coaches just saying, "F you, I'm not biting.
Yep.
I'm not biting on the poison apple. I'm not going to do it." Now, let me ask you this, guys. What happened to that? What happened? And your idea, other than what you know, other than what you've been told, what happened? Why is it? Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm going to leave.
All right, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm answering. That's all. What happened?
What happened? That's my question. You have to figure. You have to figure that out too. What do you expect me to do? Everything for you?
Hey, before you go, no analysis necessary. Just who's your free pick?
Oh, you need a free pick.
You don't have to do the analysis. It's just a free pick, and you can get out of
here. And then I'll listen. And then I want Rob to answer that question. What happened to being able to call? What happened to call? What happened to being able to call interfere? How many times I'm yelling at the TV? I don't get too excited, but I'm yelling. Why aren't you challenging that? That was not interference, or that was interference.
Well, the defensive holding last night was a joke, and it did seem like it was working against the Giants. I didn't have anything on the game at all, total or side. But if I would have taken the Giants, I would have been pissed. But you did. You know
what happened? I sat down to watch the first. I'm going to watch the first 5 minutes of this game, and I woke up to the game-ending field goal. I sat straight up for 3 hours.
Which one? The first one or the second one?
The second one.
The first one missed.
I didn't know there was a first one. Didn't know it until I saw ESPN last night.
Well, that's not the refs. That's just bad coaching.
What is?
I mean, that just the offsides against the Giants that allowed him to kick it again.
Well,
I mean, you got to be more disciplined than that. You're not going to block it.
Huh? Well, you have.
Well, ultimately, the player is right.
Huh?
And the player is ultimately accountable for the offsides penalty that gives him another shot. Right. However, maybe defensive line coach, special teams coach yells out and gives him just like a code, like code red, meaning don't jump, look at the ball. He was how far away was he from the ball? 4 feet.
I know,
4 feet.
But it's for
and
the
you
game.
Can't watch the ball and then react when the ball moves.
Well, of course, it's easy.
I guess I'm making it too easy.
Yeah, it's easy for us to say those kind of things. Again, I'll say this: if you gave me $10 million when I was 20, you know where I'd be. Okay, and these guys are sitting over the ball. And listen, they got to block that. They have to put some kind of pressure.
You wouldn't be on a show in Kansas City right now, that's for sure.
I might be. I might be wealthier, wiser. I don't know. Either that, or I'd be doing it from Leavenworth, maybe. Huh?
I mean, Kansas City. Is Andy Reid a bad coach because D Ford goes off sides and puts New England in the Super Bowl? New England didn't belong in the Super Bowl that year.
No, they didn't.
I mean, D Ford stays on sides. They win the game. It was case closed.
It was an interception, is what it was.
Yeah. I mean, the game's over. Yeah. And they're in the Super Bowl for 3 years.
It happens. It happens, guys. Here's the deal. Both of those situations you just talked about, that Rob, you brought up, and John, you brought up this. And that is, those are dire. It's not like it's the third quarter halfway through and they're trying to draw you off sides and you can yell and say, listen, don't even rush them. Don't move until you see the white stripes of that football disappear. Don't move. Right. However, in that situation that's it. It's it. If we don't put some kind of pressure or it's a 47-yard field goal and he didn't miss it. However, part of it was because he could see that pressure right up the gut, man, makes a kicker, much like a quarterback, makes a kicker nervous. And
they're exposed.
Yeah, you have to do something. A 47-yard field goal is the equivalent of what I believe, a 10-foot putt is for Tony Finn. It's money.
Thought you hated talking about golf.
I gotta go. That's why I brought it up.
All right. So what is your free pick? No analysis. If you don't have one, it's fine. We went 2-1 last night.
Yeah, well, I know. Yesterday, my free pick on Houston was they only won by 11 runs, I think, or something like that. So, and I said -2. Remember, so we can get it down to even money. Yeah. Shit, I'm thinking maybe -2.5 tonight. Maybe.
Houston -2.5.
I'm just talking. Here's my free pick. Okay. I'm going to college football. And I'm going to go to. I really like, and call me crazy, I like the Maryland and Illinois total over 61. It's already 61.5 now, guys. It opens at 58.5. Mm-hmm. It's a 61.5. The question to me today was, how are you going to play Maryland? How are you going to play this Illinois team who scored more than 24 points only once in the last 2 or 3 years? I'm doing it because
I agree.
I do
the line's telling you.
Well, not the line. I played it earlier, but it's because of the new scheme and Coach Brett's new staff. This team's more capable, and they have a better understanding that that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to be balanced tonight and throw the football. And Maryland's secondary, as dynamic as they are, it's offensive because their defense, their secondary is suspect. So over 61.5, which is a pretty big number. A pretty big number for a Big Ten.
Yep.
For a Big Ten that's still playing some 60s football.
And this is only yes, no. You have no choice. You either say yes or you say no.
No.
New England has beaten the Jets 10 times. Yes or no, will it be 11?
Emphatically.
Yes or no?
Emphatically
yes. Or
yes.
No?
Can I say emphatically yes? Emphatically yes.
Emphatically yes. So 11 in a row, New England wins.
All right.
Just jotting it down. It's not a pick, but I've been doing a survey all day.
Don't we have to do our survivor picks? Are we supposed to do that too?
Tony Mejia is not here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I win.
I'll send him a slack.
I win. By default.
I'm out. I had Jacksonville, so I'm out. I think Tony Mejia is out. What did you guys have?
Oh, I had the Rams.
So that they won. Rob?
What did you have, Rob?
This is why we write things down. I honestly don't know.
Hey, I'm the old fart.
I'm
the old fart on this show. I'm the one that forgot what happened 5 minutes ago. Not you. Oh, yeah. I guess Rob's about the same age as me. Yeah, you're right, Rob. You're excused.
I just don't. We do so many shows, Tone. I can't.
I thought you picked the 49ers. I thought you took the 49ers.
I thought he did too. I was going to say that. I think he did. But I had the 49ers and I switched to Jacksonville because, here is Tony Mejia, real quick. Unless you have to go, Tony. You just go if you have to go. Tony Mejia.
I told him
you wrote down the eliminator picks last week, right?
I got 2 minutes.
Did I go down? Yes, I did. I lost.
Do you remember what Rob Veno had as his pick?
Who's holding the money for this? Who's holding the money for the survivor pool?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Since we lost and we technically didn't bet, money, we should actually bet money and start.
Oh no! I said yesterday that you guys can throw 500 in again, and we'll start you over.
500.
Oh, because
all?
you won.
Yeah. We'll start. We'll let you throw. We'll let you re-enter. The first entry was 500. We'll let you re-enter. It's like a rebuy. It's like a hold'em rebuy
I'm
contest.
down.
No, you don't want in.
I do want it, but
Don't be scared. I'm already in.
We need a mulligan.
Why don't we discuss off air, unless you want to really make it public?
That's
I
no
will
fun.
do.
I think
will contribute.
I think the chat room should enter. I think the chat room should say what do you think, chat room? What should we do? Should we give Tony a discount? Let him pay $4.90 to get back in? I say okay.
Well, I'm the host. I shouldn't pay anything.
$5.10 for John.
You changed your pick already anyway until losing.
Yeah, I won because I originally said the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
You guys allowed me to change my mind, which was against the rules. I made my pick. You allowed me to change the rules.
John,
it reverts back to the 49ers pick.
Tony,
Rob,
you're right. I know you're right, Tony.
Will you take that gun that's hanging on your wall?
I know.
Right at John's head out your window.
I just got finished saying that I don't remember things because we do so many shows, but I specifically remember Tony Finn last week saying, give John 5 minutes, he'll change the rules. And all of a sudden he changed the rules.
I did. That you're allowed to change your mind.
Here's what I think. And I think I'm going
to change your mind after the game is over.
John, and you, Tony Mejia. Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? Well, you got to re-ante your 500, okay? That makes 1,000 apiece right now. But I'm going to throw a bone to you. If Rob will agree,
we just did it.
I'm going to throw you a bone. I'm going to throw you a bone. Any game, no matter what week it is, at halftime of each game, if you're on, let's say hypothetically, you're on Dorothy's Totos, okay, or Dorothy's Dogs, and at halftime you don't like.
That didn't sound right. Dorothy's Totos.
Okay, whatever. You want me to start going there?
Sounds like a Midwest restaurant.
I got some really good names.
You're asking for trouble, John.
I know.
And here's what I'm going to let you guys do. If you don't like there's your mulligan. One time at halftime, the rest of the season, I'm going to let you get off the game that you're on. If you decide I want off this game because I think I'm in trouble, you have to pick another game.
Last week was the 4th preseason week. That's it. And you and Rob won the prize of bragging rights. You shared.
That's it. Bragging rights?
How about this?
I don't need to win a Survivor contest with you guys to brag.
Survivor pool. Okay. Well, we're just going to do a Survivor pool. Was there any money to it? No, nobody even said anything.
Yeah. So, yeah. You were in the room.
Bets are not assumed.
We have this on tape.
Anthony, I don't know about you, but my ego's worth more than $500, and I don't like to lose.
Then
like
you don't mind. Then you don't mind.
I think I'm going to add a.
Technically, I played five contests in Circa last week. They all won. Buffalo wasn't one of them. Buffalo was my Survivor pick. So I don't know what I was thinking. I plead temporary insanity, and I will not be punished.
Yeah.
You went to 5-0 in the Circa?
Yeah, 5-0.
Oh, it's awesome.
They're one of 189, so it's not.
Stop the race. Yeah. Stop the race.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Cut it off right now.
I think that's the most that has ever occurred in the last 3 years. I look it up in the database. I have 10 years, not 10 years of Circa, but I have 10 years of Super Contest.
I will say, Mr. Ryan, that I'm currently in the money despite your boy, who was it who's letting us down?
Cameron.
He
Cameron.
Had a day today. Oh, he had a great day today.
Who?
Well, don't tell me what he had because what did he have? Did he shoot 6 under?
He's now at +1 and went 4 under for the day, and he's done. Pereira is at -10 and tied for 2nd, and Varner is tied for 7th. So I am currently 141st out of whatever entries it is. That's all you're doing, man.
Was only 140 entries.
141st out of 7,660. That's all.
Yeah, but I don't think Cameron's going to make the cut.
He didn't. He didn't make it.
If he didn't make the cut, then
wait a minute. Who had Tony Mejia at $50,000 to come on this show and initiate the golf talk.
I gotta go. Hey guys, may all the wins be mine.
Have a good week, Tony.
And if you need me, I'll call you.
You got it,
Sounds
buddy.
good.
All right, we'll put him in for the Jets for his eliminator pick.
What's going to be the cutoff point? Do you know yet?
I thought it was going to be about -3. There was. Let's see what it is now, real quick.
Well, it can't be -3 because this guy's tied for second and he's only -5.
Nah, the leaders are
he's tied for
12.
Second and -10. I got it. He went -5 today.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. My guy Pereira.
Pereira.
-10.
You got to roll your R's.
Yeah,
But,
well, I've never been good at
technically
that.
Then I'll get 5 through the weekend, and Stewart's not going to make the cut. But he at least showed up today.
We might be talking about two different guys here, I think. I'm looking at the cut. The cut line is going to be... Well, it could be -2.
Well, even if it's -2, Stewart is done because he finished
Yeah.
+1 for the tourney. Tied for 117th. So, yeah, probably not.
And that was... I'm looking where our boy Cameron is here. I'm going too far down the list for this.
Yeah, I don't have Cameron, so that might be you.
Cameron Young is... He didn't say he withdrew, but he is not on the course. I mean, Jared Wolf maybe... Well, we'll look at it before the show ends.
All right, yeah, let's not
It
blow
look-
off the tears here.
Maybe there's a weather... I mean, I can't imagine a weather delay. But anyway, I'm glad you liked the picks. And I'm glad you went 5-0 in the circa. That's an awesome way to start.
It is I don't think I went
That
5
is.
for 5 at all at any point last season. So yeah, it was.
It's hard to do. I mean, it's very hard to do.
The year prior, I did it 3 times, but yeah, last season, none.
The one you definitely want to stay away from is the 0-5.
Oh yeah,
Actually, the 1-4s. If you can go the whole, 16 weeks, what it was, and go 2-3 at the worst, you're gonna be sniffing the beginning of the money. 57% is sometimes right there on the edge.
Yep.
But that's hard enough to do with 5 picks every week. That's the part that some people don't get. Like, what did you hit? 56.5%. Oh, I could do that. Well, no, you can't because it's 5 games a week, and you have weeks where there's 5 teams on a bye. You have fewer games to pick. You don't pick the Thursday game, and that is another one off the table. And then all of a sudden you have those weeks where you're just. It's very hard. You have matchups that make no sense to you, but you still gotta pick one of those matchups and make a pick
Yep.
somehow, some way.
No, I got lucky
But-
because I really was gung ho on the Bills, and they ended up being my 6th. And I also liked the Cowboys, and they were my 7th. So both of those lost. So it's just a matter of that. And then the 49ers line in Circa was 7.5. So
Right.
got
Yep.
lucky there. I think at Westgate it probably got to 8. So I think a lot of pushes there.
Yep. Well, I wanted to do this before we go to best bets. Was just to go around, and there's no room for analysis. It's just a yes or no answer. The Patriots have beaten the Jets 10 consecutive times. Will it be 11? And Tony Finn started and said yes, emphatically yes, New England would win. And then somehow he segued ourselves into golf. And he's the last guy I thought would do that. So, Mr. Mejia, will the Jets end this 10-game losing streak to the vastly hated Patriots?
I'll say no, but it's closer to maybe.
Mr. Rob Veno, will it be New England 11 in a row or the Jets 1 in a row?
The New England 11 in a row.
And so it's unanimous, all 4 of us. Next question. Jacksonville, will they lose their 17th consecutive game? Mr. Mejia.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's a yes on that one. Jacksonville, 17 in a row. Mr. Veno?
I'd have to say yes.
And I say yes as well. So that's unanimous. And that's really all I wanted to know. But I know the Jets fans think this is the best shot they've had. But
It is the best shot they've had at the Patriots in a while.
but Belichick's record against a rookie quarterback is out of sight. It's like 20,
No, it's true. But he doesn't have
24 and
Gilmore.
6.
He doesn't have Gilmore to shut down. And Corey Davis looked pretty good. I think they might get Crowder back. I respect Zach Wilson. I respect the hell out of that kid. That kid is on another level.
But they don't have an offensive line to protect him, do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, poor guy might be on his back more than he's under center.
And Mac Jones looked impressive. So we got a rookie.
I thought so too.
Rookie.
Yep. It'll be a fun game to watch for sure. Real quick on baseball. We had a football game last night, and as you guys know, I was at dinner for my daughter's 25th birthday, and I showed the phone to her boyfriend, who's pretty much an adamant Philly type of guy, and it was 7-2 Cubs. And I just was disgusted, and I just was like, they don't even deserve to even sniff the playoffs. What I didn't realize was that the Cubs scored 7 in the third, and then the Phillies scored 7 in the fourth. And the Phillies then had a 3-run homer from future MVP Bryce Harper. I know it's hard to believe, but he is chasing down that trophy, and I can't imagine that there would be a guy winning the MVP in the National League that's not a playoff team. But I mean, he's doing it, and they went on to win 18-7. What a strange game that was. And I ran the stats on how many times a team had the Phillies have played 4 games since 2000 where they were down 7 runs and won. So it's pretty damn rare. So we'll have to see. Atlanta has their work cut out. They're playing San Francisco. Could get a little bit closer there in the National League East, but
what is it? 2 games now? 2.5?
I'll bring the standing. I think it's 2. Actually, it might be 3, but let's see. It is 3.
Philly's a road favorite, and the Giants are obviously favored over Atlanta with Logan Webb on the mound. So, yeah, you guys can make up some ground. Could get interesting.
Zach Wheeler's on the hill for the Phillies tonight, and he really has it going again now. He had that stretch of 3 games where he was just getting hammered. And I do think a lot of times with these pitchers, it's about staying on top of the ball, and especially with the sliders. You don't get the bite of the slider if you don't stay on top of the ball. If you get too much on the side, it's going to be a frisbee, and it's going to hang, and it's going to get hit a mile.
And playing the Yankees, so Francisco Lindor's calmed down now.
Yeah. Yep, that was quite a series.
That's ridiculous.
But anyway, Rob, any thoughts on the Phillies game last night? Since we're guilty by association because of where we live.
Well, certainly, Bryce Harper. At one point last night, he was 3 for 3 with 4 RBI as they were, scoring 10 straight runs, and he's doing his part to try to win MVP. The problem for him is going to be Tatis continues to hit home runs. He hit his 39th last night, and San Diego suddenly beat the Giants twice in a row. If San Diego makes the playoffs, which they're closer than the Phillies are, then Bryce Harper's not winning MVP no matter what he does. Tatis
I would agree.
Will win it if they get in. So all of a sudden, they look, and we'll see. Ironically, John, San Diego tonight is starting Vince Velasquez, ex-Philadelphia Philly. It's crazy. But
you guys should be happy about that.
Yeah, that's how things work in Major League Baseball when, especially when you're in the Padres situation and you just don't have any semblance of a starting staff. 0. None. Joe Musgrove and 4 game-time decisions following in that rotation. I know you Darvish has a spot, but Darvish is just a mess. at this point in time. So it'll be interesting. I mean, if the Padres don't make it, that'll really put a burden on the voters for that. I mean, the Padres don't make it, the Phillies don't make it. Who are you voting for, Tatis or Harper? And Harper legitimately could track him down with everything he's doing right now if he keeps it up. If they're both non-playoff teams, I wouldn't be surprised. For Philadelphia to, we're not getting into this because the Phillies do enough to tease their fans and then drop and go ass
it's horrible
for a few games, and so
it's
they're
horrible.
really not a playoff team. And I'm glad kind of that Finn's not here anymore, but he was adamant that the St. Louis Cardinals were coming nowhere near the playoffs, and because everybody's been going backwards, the Cardinals, they found their hot streak in September. It's all it takes.
Against good teams.
Lousy baseball through August, get hot in September, and end up as the second wild card team. So I guess the shame of it all is that the Dodgers, I think they're one game behind. The Dodgers or the Giants are going to be in a one-game playoff situation where one of these screwball teams that's going to make the second wild card is, got an opportunity, just as good an opportunity to make the playoffs as they do.
Yep. It's amazing that Bryce Harper is tied for second in batting average in the National League. And Trey Turner is batting .317, and that's tied for the Major League Baseball League. So Harper could end up as hot as he is, and we all know when he gets hot, I don't think there's anybody that gets hotter. It's just unbelievable. He sees the ball like it's a beach ball. And there's not that many games left, and he keeps it going. And he could be the Silver Slugger Award if he doesn't get the MVP at least. And that would be quite an accomplishment. And then maybe that would shut up some of the media in Philadelphia from saying that, why do we pay this guy $350 million for?
Well, if you're not terrible this weekend against the Mets, say you win 2 out of 3, you close out your home schedule with the Orioles and the Philly and the Pirates.
Yeah.
Seven games, so 3 against the Orioles, 4 against the Pirates, and then you go to Atlanta. So
and that's it, the 3 games, and that's when I had said, what did I say it, Rob? It has to be 2 weeks ago. Yes, it was 2 weeks ago on a Friday. There was 40 games to go, and I said with 6 to go when they go to Atlanta, they'll be in the lead, is what I said. That's probably not going to happen, but that series could be huge.
Yeah, no, that's.
I know it's a reach and everything, and I don't want to get the Philly fans even remotely, tasting hope, because that's the worst kind of food that any of the Philly franchise fans can eat. You give them a little bit of hope when there really shouldn't be any hope, and it's a disaster.
Yeah,
just like the Eagles did last week with that 32-6 win. So I will start final round of bets here. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'll tell you where I'm going. I'm going into that Eagles game. And I know we talk about recency, and I don't think this is recency really, but let's see what you think. And it's something new. I've added I'm going to try first half picks on this show. And then if they do pretty well, I might add them to the premium. But here we have week 2, 1 o'clock at the Link in South Philly. You're going to bet on any team using the first half line facing a foe off a 21 or more point upset win. Doesn't necessarily mean that they really played well. It could have also implied that the team they played just, kind of didn't show up, which I kind of think is what happened with Atlanta and the Packers in games played in weeks 1 through 4. So I think it takes recency and it kind of reverses it because it is weeks 1 through 4. Eagles were bad last year. They had one good game. That doesn't mean that they're not a bad team anymore. 49ers, I think it was just Rob and I, we were looking over the spreadsheet when I did the Westgate spreadsheet with all the odds and totals for the entire season. And we both agreed that San Fran could be the team to make it to the conference championship. So now we have that versus what I just said about the Eagles and a line of that makes no sense to me, 3.5. You have a first half line, 1.5. You have this awesome angle here I would actually call this one like a super angle. 31-7, 81.6 the last 25 seasons. So what have you done for me lately? 11-1 last 10 years when this has come up, 92%. So it's very rare, but I mean, the results speak for themselves. So that's my free pick, and I'm actually going to go to the window with this. I'm going to give it to my premium clients as well. I wish I could bet it in the circuit, Tony. I wish I could.
Well, I can't.
Well, it's first half, but
okay,
I could take 49ers. I just we've talked about it with the Eagles, and I shake my head like this because they have all the potential in the world, and it showed last week. And this play may look foolish when we come to Monday. Jalen Reagor finally caught a touchdown that was a very good one, and he used his wheels to get in there. And we already know Devontae Smith is good. We already know Jalen Hurts is good. But Jalen Hurts runs in the shadow of Tua because in that championship game, he was benched because Nick Saban admitted, I guess it was months later, that they had to go to Tua if they were going to win because he was the better passing quarterback than Hurts. And Tua was a freshman. I mean, can you imagine? But I think Jalen extends plays. He has good instincts. He has a good IQ. He's calm. Never gets that guy never gets excited about anything. He never looks rattled. So it is scary betting against the Eagles because they're that one team, I think, that could just surprise the heck out of everybody. Especially in what we saw last night. I mean, it was exciting to watch, but I mean, the mistakes. I'm not even going to go there. So my free pick for the show is first half, 49ers on Sunday, -1.5. If you want to do the money line instead, then do that. So we'll have Tony Mejia's thoughts and his free pick for the show next, and then we'll wrap up with Rob, and then we'll be on our way to the weekend.
49ers running back Elijah Mitchell, Raging Cajuns, early favorite for offensive rookie of the year because he's going to get those touches with Mostert out. And the other thing I'd say about the Eagles is the Falcons played worse than anybody last week. And the other team that kind of gave them a run for their money is who I'm fading this week. And you can see the full breakdown on my feed. And I think Wager Talks will tweet it out this weekend. It's my ratchet play. And I'll have one of these every week. Sometimes it'll be a client play. Sometimes it won't. I'm not sure yet on this week's. But it's basically the ugliest game on the schedule. I call them ratchet games because they're the gutter games, the games that really, you don't know how they're going to go because they're so ugly. But this week's winner is, and it's actually a pretty loaded card, so it was hard to pick one. But I went with Broncos Jags just because even though the Broncos are 1-0, they're still expected to bring up the rear in the AFC West, and the Jaguars just look so terrible. In their season opening loss to Houston as a favorite where they lose wire to wire. And the way they lost, I think, is why I'm fading them this week. So I'm going to lay the points, even though my numbers were only 3.5, 4, and I see it at 6. So there's line value on Jacksonville, but I just don't see how you touch them considering Trevor Lawrence threw all those picks, 3 of them. Offense had to use 2 timeouts in the first quarter just to avoid, delay of game penalties. That's a lack of preparation. They had illegal participation penalties. They had just the illegal formations, drops, holding calls. It was ugly. And I don't see how Urban Meyer gets that fixed in 1 week. It was, a situation where, you're on the road in Houston and now you're home at Jacksonville. But what home field advantage did you have in Jacksonville? And I think your boy, KJ Hamler, is going to have a great time over the next few weeks taking Jerry Jeudy's spot as one of Broncos' top targets because Jeudy had 6 catches and looked really good. He was on my fantasy team, so I really was sad to see him go. He's out for at least a month. Probably
that's a pretty big loss.
It is. He looks legitimate. So definitely think that he hopefully he takes his time with a high ankle sprain, so that way he's back for the second half of the season. Cortland Sutton still coming off a torn ACL. He didn't look like himself. So it's basically KJ Hamler and Tim Patrick. But Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, he looked the part against the Giants. He looks better than Drew Lock, so I think he'll hold on to that job, and I think he'll do a nice job here. The Jaguars gave up 160 rushing yards to the Texans, so I think we'll see a Javonte Williams coming out party. Melvin Gordon went 60, 70, 80 yards against the Giants, so that's an interesting two-headed combination. And Jacksonville at this point, I think Trevor Lawrence is getting a baptism by fire. I won't call him overrated at all. I think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback down the road. But is he ready? Should they traded Gardner Minshew to the Eagles and have no safety net? Maybe, because you just want that guy out there getting reps. But he's facing Vic Fangio, and Fangio is going to disguise coverage, make life tough for him. If the Broncos lead in the fourth quarter, I think they'll be able to extend that lead, cover the spread, give me the points. Lay the points with Denver.
What are you seeing for the line for that? Because I'm actually I'm putting the picks in the chat room for people to see it real easy
I've
when
seen
we're
it
done.
at 6 all week. I'll give you the current line. It was 6 when I did my video yesterday. It is now. I got college football up. Hold on. Broncos are favored by. Where do I see?
Looks like 6 is still, Tone.
Yeah, 6
Yeah,
is across the board. Open to 3, 6 is everywhere. So consensus
right.
to DraftKings makes you pay 115 in juice. Everybody else is legit. 6 laying 110.
And since I'm the host, I'm adding a second pick. I'm just kidding saying that. Even when I try to sound arrogant kidding around, it doesn't sound arrogant, does it? It just sounds like I'm adding another pick.
All right.
But, of course, it wouldn't be a weekend without Penn State being one of the picks. And I'm not going to belabor the point. It's going to be one of my premium ones tomorrow. So there you go. There's a free one. And a ton of just a mountain of analytics working against Auburn, who is making their first trip to the Big Ten venue in, I guess, 90 years? It's a long time.
I saw a couple
time.
of stats on that. Yeah, it's
not that
it's
matters.
only the third instance where it's a ranked Big Ten team hosting a ranked SEC team ever. Third instance ever, which is
yep.
Yeah, it was like something like 1930 was the last trip into a Big Ten stadium.
And our colleague Ralph Michaels, and we all have a lot of respect for his work, really added fuel to my fire when he said that Penn State was the number one college football home field advantage, especially at night, especially in a whiteout. And you can prepare for it all you think you want, but I'm telling you, like, turn on the TV at like 7:15 for the ESPN game day is going to be there. So turn it on even before that at 7, and you're going to see it. And it's wild before the game even starts, and it's organized wild. It's not like a crazy, violent type of behavior. It's just that's why they call it Happy Valley. It's just people just cannot wait for the game to get started. Like, they're ready to suit up and go out there, and it's just a wonderful experience. Even if you're not a fan of the Big Ten, if you're even close to seeing a game like that and you like sports, you'd be foolish not to take it on.
Auburn message boards are poo-pooing your home field advantage. They say, "Oh, it's going to be loud, and they're going to all wear the same color." We're in the SEC, baby. We go to LSU at night. We play at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We don't care.
LSU at night, I agree with you, but I agree with Ralph that in any event I've ever seen, it gets so incredibly loud. When Auburn's going left to right on your TV and they get in the red zone, it is going to be much. You can't get the appreciation from the TV. I mean, you actually have to be there to know what it is that I'm talking about, and it's intimidating and overwhelming for some of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten in recent years. Ohio State lost there a couple years ago. So I really don't think the game's going to be close.
Ralph's absolutely right, I would think, because of the way the line moved. Like I told you when I hadn't looked at a line yet, I said my number's 4.5.
Yep.
and the number was 6. I think that's all odds makers putting the white out at night, on a pedestal. And now I guess the number's down to 5, right?
Yeah. And then you can't tell me on a neutral field Auburn's a better team than Penn State.
Yeah.
And that's where I draw the line. I just really draw the line.
On a neutral field, yeah, I would guess Penn State is favored by a point or two, but at Jordan Hare, I would say Auburn's favored by a point. So
I would agree with that.
Matchup.
But I just wanted to check here. Rob, you can start your free pick if you want. I'll just find this line and then I'll update it before we sign off.
All righty. Well, I'll go to college football tomorrow and start with, I guess, a noontime game, Nebraska-Oklahoma, a game that used to be a rivalry, a game that is not a rivalry anymore. I got in on over 61.5. I think that this game has since gone to 62. But let me look real quick. It looks like Oklahoma, Nebraska is at 62. Well, it's mixed. There's 62.5s even out there now, guys. Probably more than there are 62s anymore. Up to 62.5, opened at 60.5. But I'm going to play it over for a bunch of reasons here. Where the Oklahoma defense, where the Nebraska defense is concerned, this is just a huge step up in class. This team has played Illinois in Brett Bielema's first game. We know that Brett Bielema, entering the season, we all know his history as far as offense is concerned. Run the football, play action. It's not a lot to defend against Illinois with a new coaching staff and somewhat of a new system. Then they played Fordham out of the FCS. Again, not much to defend. You're supposed to put up really good numbers there. And then they played Buffalo last week. And Buffalo, a team which lost 20 kids to the transfer portal when their coach was hired by Kansas after spring practice was already over. New coach, 20 less players that got out of there. And they seemed more than content last week in watching that game to just hand the ball off. Kyle Van Treese, the quarterback, rarely threw, or when he did throw, it was rarely downfield. It was a pretty easy offense to defend. Now you get Oklahoma, of course, Spencer Rattler and company here, Kennedy Brooks, Eric Gray, the whole shooting match. It's just like nothing they've seen so far this year. So I expect Nebraska's defense to, in Norman, probably give up 40+. That's partially that's a part of what we need to get over 62. On the Nebraska side, I would say we saw a couple of weeks ago Oklahoma right here in Norman against Tulane. Hang on for dear life, 40-35 against Tulane. Tulane's quarterback, Michael Pratt, is a dual threat quarterback. He's got the ability to run the football. In that game, he ran for 8 yards a carry if you take the sack yardage out. But he's not Adrian Martinez by any stretch. He's a little more accurate of a passer, though. Adrian Martinez is not the most accurate thrower in the world. But running-wise, Martinez dual threat ability, something that figures to give Oklahoma fits again. They didn't really stop Pratt. They didn't really stop the Tulane offense. Tulane's 1 yard away from converting a 4th down and potentially within 2 minutes left in the game going in for another for a game-winning touchdown drive. So I think that Nebraska's got good stuff working for them. The part in the beginning of the week that held me back a little bit was receivers. Cluster injuries in the Nebraska receiving corps. Their number 2, their number 3, plus their tight end, all kind of questionable to start the week. As of this morning, it looks like 2 of those 3 are on the way back into the lineup, which gives Martinez more weapons. By the way, Samori Toure, their transfer wide receiver from Montana, looks every bit the elite wide receiver in college football. I mean, he was running free all over the football field last week. So I think Nebraska certainly can find their way to 24-27, which is going to be more than enough, in my estimation, to get this thing up and over the total. Don't really see it as being a game where it's played as a defensive struggle. Certainly, again, I think Nebraska's defense will have their hands full. Oklahoma will play at tempo, which will give us a couple extra possessions here. So give me Oklahoma, Nebraska up and over 62. I guess what's now 62.5. If you can get the 62 and you're listening out there, because I do see some available still, go get it. but 62.5 is the number we'll use because that looks like the predominant number as I look across the old Wager Talk odds screen right now. It looks like 62.5 is the predominant number.
Big fan
Typing
of
it
that.
in.
A big
I'm
fan of
typing
that,
it
Tom?
in.
Of that pick, yeah.
Oh, okay. So we'll be rooting each other home hopefully tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
So, in summary, we have in the chat room, I have written Tony Finn over Illinois versus Maryland tonight. John Ryan, first half -1.5, 49ers over Eagles. Tony Mejia, Denver, -6, Jacksonville. John Ryan, extra pick. Penn State, -5, Rob Veno, over 62/62.5 points. Sooners versus Cornhuskers. I think you can get 62, so we'll evaluate Rob's bet on 62. But you know what I think? I agree with both of you. I think there'll be like 75 points scored in this game, and Oklahoma might have 56 of them. You know, I agree with every single word he said about that matchup, and that's that. And congratulations again, Tony Mejia, 5-0 guys in the circa. And I cannot. It might not sound like anything, but I'm telling you, that is an accomplishment, especially in week 1. Tremendous start.
Just need to do it 17 more weeks.
If I didn't cash and you did, I'd be happy as shit.
I appreciate that.
All right, so we're going to take off here. And thank you for your time, Tony Mejia, Rob Veno, Tony Finn, and everyone that appears on this wonderful show of ours that we've put together and built over the last 9 months or so. On behalf of Wager Talk Sports Memo and the Predictive Playbook, good luck this weekend. Thanks for listening, and may all the wins be yours.